It's an exciting time in space exploration. Here to help us celebrate National Space Day, let's welcome Dr. Joe Carson, professor at CofC's Department of Physics and Astronomy. May the 4th be with you.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. So very exciting news coming out of space exploration and the sciences. Want to talk about SpaceX first. So maybe you can tell our audience a little bit more about what happened there and what Elon Musk's vision is ultimately for shooting something so powerful into space.
Yeah, so as you say, this is the most powerful rocket that's ever been created, that's ever been launched. And it was exciting that it cleared the launch pad, of course. Yeah. But soon after that, as I'm sure many of you guys have seen, it exploded after that. I believe it was actually a controlled explosion, but it was a controlled explosion after it was tumbling out of control. They decided to explode it. So it's certainly exciting that it officially it cleared the launch pad, which is great, but it's never good when your rocket explodes.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. I mean, one of the missions, the idea behind NASA partnering with SpaceX for doing these rocket launches is that even after so many decades, the most difficult part of space exploration is just getting off of Earth.
Yes.
After so much time, it's just the hardest part. It's the most expensive part. And I think actually most of the really big advances SpaceX has made has been in keeping launch costs, keeping launch costs down. But this new Starship mission that launched, I mean, the idea that this is powerful enough to go to the moon, to go to Mars, to potentially have 100-person inside of it or a large payload. So it's really looking towards the future, sort of the next generation of space missions.
And the Wright brothers did it first, so it took many, many tries to get those planes off the ground and sustained in the air. So more power to him, Godspeed on that project, because eventually, maybe not in our lifetime, but it's going to happen. It is going to happen. Let's move on to Artemis 2, because that's also a very exciting moment that's awaiting us, hopefully in November of next year.
Yeah, so Artemis 2 is really exciting. So it's the mission to go back to the moon. First to do it with astronauts flying by the far side of the moon, the dark side of the moon, which is the one in 2024, to send astronauts. They'll be visiting the moon, but they won't actually be landing on it. Oh. They'll be doing a flyby. And then the plan is for the following year for them to actually land on the moon. It's been 50 years since humans have been on the moon. Yeah. Things look a lot different then. The crew looks very different.
Sure. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so this would be the first person of color to be landing on the moon. This will be the first woman that will be landing on the moon. And the vehicle that they're going to be, back when this was 50 years ago, I mean, they were barely computers that were used on these missions.
But they managed, they made it happen.
Which is amazing. I mean, that is an amazing testament to, human engineering.
It certainly is.
And the idea behind this mission is that it's not only the goal is to go to the moon, land on and go back there, but to be a stepping stone for next generation missions like going to Mars, and also trying to put a more long-term scientific base on the moon.
Yeah. So all of this is a mission towards sustained time in space. Absolutely. Off of planet Earth. Yeah. Let's talk about JUICE real quick. That is an acronym. Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer.
This is I think one of the most exciting launches that happened. I think many people maybe didn't hear as much about, but this was a launch that happened just last month. It's a mission by the European Space Agency to go to the moons of Jupiter. It won't be arriving there until 2030, so we have a little bit of time to wait. But the moons of Jupiter are these absolutely spectacular sites. So they have these icy surfaces, but below those icy surfaces, we believe there's massive liquid saltwater oceans that are being heated by these underwater thermal vents that are pumping these rich chemical ingredients.
Which means there could be life?
I mean, these are exactly the environments that many scientists think is where life on Earth began, actually, on thermal vents on Earth. And these aren't just small oceans. These are actually oceans that dwarf the size of oceans on Earth. These are massive oceans that we've never visited. No one's ever explored them, never taken a drop of water and looked at it. This mission won't be actually entering those oceans. It'll be doing characterization of the properties to also as another stepping stone to a future mission to actually drill through the surface of some of those moons to actually explore those under ice oceans.
Very exciting things to look forward to. Dr. Joe Carson, always such a pleasure to have you on this program. Thank you for enlightening us. May the 4th be with you all. We're back after this.